in front of a runaway train, just to feel alive again, pushing forward through the night.
Hey Gearholic fans out there, it's me Gearholic coming at you guys with another review. Today is going to be a review over 550 Paracord. Right here I have some Paracord that I don't quite prefer, but it's still one of the most available brands out there. I'm going to kind of go over some different stuff that I like and dislike about certain paracords, kind of give you guys a little bit of a brief history over it. So just kind of getting started, that first little section of photos right there, that was those are all those pictures of military photos. Basically, 550 Paracord came out of World War II. So during World War II, the parachutists, people that were basically jumping out of planes with parachutes, paratroopers, whatever you want to call them, 82nd Airborne, 101st, you guys know them and you guys love them. So basically, when they were jumping out of airplanes, they needed something to attach to their parachutes that wasn't just going to snap under tension. And so basically the only way that you can solve that is by having a material that kind of has a little bit of stretch. 550 Paracord is known to actually stretch about 30% of its actual body length. So you can stretch up to 30%, meaning that it kind of absorbs impact when you're falling from a distance, much like any climbing rope or anything out there. You want to, if you're falling, especially at terminal velocity, you're going to want, when you deploy your parachute, to have some sort of actual stretch. That way it doesn't just shock you to a stop. It kind of gently grabs you and lifts you back up. Of course, it's not foolproof, and if you're jumping out of airplanes with parachutes, things are going to get a little rough, So I can't say that it didn't hurt that they thought of a great idea of how to make elasticity inside of a rope. And some genius basically had the idea of taking nylon strands and covering them with an outer sheathing, and basically twisting them together and making this beautiful thing we call 550 cord. So I know there's been a lot of videos out there on that whole subject, and I'm not going to go over all the uses of 550 cord, because you can literally type that into any website, or into Google search, and you're going to come up with about 50 bajillion different ways to do things with 550 cord. My specific goal in this video is going to be talking about the real 550 cord versus some of the cheaper, more manufactured things that you can find out there. So I'm going to actually start with some of the cheap stuff, which it's not quite my taste, but I think it's really great for projects and things. And it's not that it can't do what it's supposed to do. I'll get into it real quick. So basically, this is this brand of 550 cord. This was purchased. I purchased this in Hobby Lobby. You can probably go to any Hobby Lobby, walk in, and find this exact brand that I'm talking about. And the one difference that I started noticing about these is the inner strands in these don't look quite like the military brand. So I'm going to give you guys kind of a comparison here. So this is military grade. So this is the OD green, military grade 550 cord. Basically, it's classified as Type 3 paracord, which is also designated C5040. So C5040 Type 3 paracord is what this is actually called. And it's actually rated for 550 pounds, which is where it gets its name. Duh. So because it's rated at 550 pounds, I much prefer the actual military grade 550 cord, because I know that it can actually take about 550 pounds worth of weight. That doesn't mean that it can stop or hold that for a significant amount of time. I haven't tested it. I won't test it. Type it into YouTube and see what kind of weird videos people have out there. There's one video out there, I may try to add a link to it, and it's of these two guys using 550 cord between two trucks, and they basically pull, I don't know, they're trying to test the limits of 550 cord. It's pretty funny. But it's actually, it's really interesting to see some of these people out there, and basically all the information that I'm giving you guys, I found out there just doing a little bit of research and all that. So, if you don't believe me, if you disagree with me, go out there, go look. If you find something that maybe I missed or maybe I was incorrect about, please, comment. Let's keep it good comments. Don't start bashing me because of whatever. So basically, I prefer the military grade, and I'll tell you the reason why. The military grade, one, it can take 550 pounds. I already kind of established that. Two, it also has better inner strands. It just feels more durable. You really kind of look at it. You start looking at the quality control of it, and you start noticing that it's just better made. In comparison to the Hobby Lobby brand that you buy. There's real no outer difference as far as like getting the outer strands. It's not necessarily any different in any way, but what is different is the inner strands. So I'm going to try to get these up close so you can kind of see the comparison. I don't know if you guys can really tell, but can you tell the difference between the military grade versus the Hobby Lobby grade? The Hobby Lobby grade just looks really cheap. The inner strands just don't look quite the same. They're just not as finely tuned. They're not as, I don't know, well done, well tied together. Another thing you might have noticed in that, let me bring it back in, sorry. Another thing you might have noticed in all that is that the military version actually has a yellow striped nylon cord in it. That basically, it's different color than all the rest. That's another factor why I like why I like the military brand over the commercial Hobby Lobby store-bought brand. So I basically took the guts out of one so you can see all the strands. So most 550 cord has about 7 to 9 strands on in the internal structure, which is basically twisted together, kind of like that. And then you can cut a section and pull it out, or whatever you want to do. But basically in those strands, there's this yellow strand that I'm going to go ahead and pull out here. So basically this yellow strand that I'm holding here in my hand, it's got little black dots all the way around it. So the intention of that, to my knowledge and my research, is basically these yellow markings on this actual band, this internal structure band, they're actually designed to help you with map finding. So you basically take a section, right, and you can use it on any map, because basically you can basically line up these dots that are on it to your actual compass itself, and it makes measurements and things easier. So you can take a measurement off a map, put it on your compass, know the actual measurement, or if you need to, complex turns and things inside roads. So if I was following a complex road that wasn't just a straight line, it had like multiple turns, this just makes it a little bit easier to pinpoint, accuracy. I mean, it's going to be a rough estimation, but it's going to be a lot better than just eyeballing it or whatever. That's kind of a useful tool for me, especially because I like reading maps and different things. So I think that that's a real win for military grade. So one more time, I'm going to show you guys, try to get up close with that. Kind of hard to focus. So, but yeah. So that was one of my things, my pet peeves that I really preferred over the military grade versus the Hobby Lobby grade rope. Another thing is, we were talking about that 550-pound weight. So I know for a fact, because this is military grade, because when I looked online, it said C50-40 Type 3 parachute cord. If it has those numbers on it, it's most likely going to be manufactured for military purposes. So it's going to be military rated. That's kind of what you want, because if you go and you try to put 550 pounds on the Hobby Lobby one, I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm just saying you may not be able to do the same things and put the same workloads on the cheaper 550 cord versus the military grade. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. That's why I kind of prefer certain paracords over others. Coyote Brown that I bought from an online store on Amazon, and I basically bought, I think, about 100 feet for about 15 bucks. So it wasn't really that bad. It is military grade. It also has the inner braids. It has the inner braid that has the same dot structure as the other one, except this one is green instead of yellow. You can kind of see that there, hopefully. And this one also has 7 strands in it. Basically these two, the military and the Coyote Brown, I would trust these any day of the week, for something that was serious. Not so much the Hobby Lobby brand. I think that these are great for Hobby Lobby type things like crafts. So if you wanted to make a paracord bracelet, you didn't want to spend the money on the really nice stuff, but you still wanted to practice, buy the cheap stuff. This, I think I got 100 feet or 50 feet for like $8. And this gray stuff came in. I think it was like 50 feet or something, and it was like $8. That's dirt cheap. And again, you start thinking about it. You're like, well, why is it so cheap? I don't know. And that's another reason why I started thinking like, well, what's wrong with this paracord versus that? You start doing the research, and next thing you know, you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I didn't really realize that, if I'm trusting my life on this, let's just say not that you'd want to end up in a situation where you're actually putting your weight on something this thin, but if you had to, would you trust it? I mean, no, I wouldn't trust even these, even if I was put to that limit test, I probably wouldn't trust these. But if it says it can, maybe, just maybe, I won't fall to my death. This, I don't know. Definitely not. Probably not. But then again, it's all about your price range and your ability. And once again, I'm going to show you guys a close-up of all three, and you can actually tell the difference between the nylon strands on these two versus the nylon strands on this one, the Hobby Lobby. So military grade and Hobby Lobby. So I'll kind of give you guys a close-up here. Hopefully you guys can kind of tell the difference. You can see just the quality control of these versus the Hobby Lobby one. They seem to just be a little bit better, So that's just one thing I noticed. There is a military brand out there called Miltex. They are the actual company that makes parachute cord for the actual military, and their stuff is strong. It's really strong. The green rope that I actually have here is actually military grade. I actually got it from my brother-in-law who's in the military. He hooked me up with actual real grade paracord. So I know for a fact this has probably been manufactured by Miltex, because I think they manufacture all the 550 cord that goes to the military. And I think they have over 40 different colors, which is it's pretty awesome. Another thing you guys can look into is there's this cord out there by Blade HQ called Paracord. Paracord basically is pretty interesting because it's the same function as 550 cord. The only thing is what they did differently is instead of having a yellow internal dot structured strand like that, they've replaced one of the strands with its nylon fishing line. I think it's 8 or 10 pound test line. So basically what you do is you cut a section, right? If you were doing fishing, a pretty long section, I guess, and then you would just pull that specific nylon fishing cord or fishing line out of the actual 550 cord itself. The only problem that I see with that, and I'm not bashing Blade HQ it's a really ingenious idea. The only thing I can see wrong with that is the fact that if you're taking out sections of rope, like let's say you take out a 30 feet worth of 550 cord, and you want to go fishing, well then you're going to have to cut a 10-foot section and pull out the 10-foot section. But then what do you do with the 10-foot section once you've cut it? And you don't need to use any of the internal, the internal strings. The only other thing I can think of is you just throw it in your bag and use it for a later time. But what if you're just doing sewing? What if you're sewing, your jacket and you get a rip in your jacket? So you're going to cut a section like this long and cut it, and then what do you do with the section this long? I don't know. It's just one of those ideas you got to think about. And I'm not saying it's not a bad product. I'll probably end up buying it and checking it out just to see how good it is, and as far as like rating wise, looking at the quality control and everything, especially in comparison to the military grade stuff. So that's just one of those things I just wanted to throw out there real quick. If you guys have any comments or concerns regarding 550 cord, I like to do a little bit of knots and things I can probably show y'all maybe in the future. But if you guys have any comments or concerns, let me know. All right, thanks guys. I really appreciated doing this whole review. Hope you guys keep watching my others, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, Gearholic, and I'm signing out.